There is a chance to do something special here. With the draft only a few days away, the San Antonio Spurs have 2 lottery picks, the 2nd and the 14th. At the 2nd, we know Dylan Harper, that's our guy. But the 14th pick, we have a chance to do something special. A recent article highlights some of the prospects we could target at that position, at that draft position, and we're going to break it down here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss all the great content that we have coming for you. But let's just get right underway. The prospect San Antonio should consider at 14. 5 different players that the Spurs should target with the 2nd lottery selection that they possess. 2 picks in the 2025 NBA draft lottery. The Spurs have plenty of decisions to make. One of them being as clear as we inch closer to draft night, become more evident that the Spurs will select Dylan Harper. I know there have been so many teams coming out and talking like, oh, we want Dylan Harper here, we want Dylan Harper here, we're going to take him. Basically, teams are vying to get that 2nd pick, and the Spurs are saying no, we don't need it. But that 14th pick, it obviously all depends on who gets drafted prior to him. But there's a lot of different selections that we could go with that 14th overall pick. It's been harder to pin down. It's unclear if they will make a selection. Trade rumors have swirled around the pick. We don't know if that pick is going to be aided or be available in a Kevin Durant trade possibly, or trading for somebody else. We don't know what the 14th pick is going to be. But what the Spurs could do also is just keep it. There is plenty of talent in this year's draft. This year's draft is one of the more talented drafts, especially as you get deeper into the draft. There's a lot of players who can make differences on rosters, whether it's sooner or later, depending on how much they need to develop. But whatever the asking price for the pick is, the San Antonio Spurs may actually be able to keep it and use that as somebody who can help them get to their next steps, which is the playoffs, deep playoff runs, getting to the finals, and winning another championship. But who could that be? Cedric Coward. This is the first guy. 6'6" wing out of Washington State. Only played 6 games last year. He was about 18-7. He shot 40% from 3. This is a guy that I actually, in my 2nd mock draft that I had him going to the San Antonio Spurs. Why? Because we see right now who is in the NBA Finals. It is the Pacers versus the Thunder. What do the Pacers and the Thunder both have? A lot of wing depth. You've got, obviously, for the Pacers, Mathurin, Halliburton, it goes on. And then you've got Shea, Dort, and then goes on from there. I don't need to hash out those 2 teams. This is not what we worry about. We worry about the Spurs here. But you just see how 2 teams like that are in the finals now. Even last year with Boston, they had a lot of wings. We could do the same thing. We get Stephon Castle already. We got De'Aaron Fox already. We get Cedric Coward. We get Dylan Harper. That's going to be 4 different players who can do 4 different things, but they can all rotate. They can all play defense. They all can shoot. Some better than others, of course. They can get downhill. They can make plays. This would be an interesting pick. Cedric Coward has been climbing up draft boards ever since the first mocks came out right in April, right after a March Madness, really, when the first mocks really got going. But he would be a very good choice for the San Antonio Spurs. Great off ball. He's an instinctive cutter, can knock down and hit jump shots. A lot of work to do to prove that he's an impactful scorer, but he doesn't need to come into the league and be an impactful scorer for the Spurs. That's why you have Wemby. That's why you have Fox. Castle's obviously improved. If we get Harper with the number 2 pick, we know how polished he is already. At this moment in time, we still have Devin Vassell. We might trade off a Devin Vassell for something else, but as of right now, we would draft those 2. We would still have Devin Vassell. Jeremy Sochan working on his jump shot. If you've seen videos of that jumper is looking clean. Even he might be able to stretch out and get you a few threes here and there too. Harrison Barnes. So he only needs to come in and he can learn from those veterans, learn from those guys to be a guy who would pick and pop out there. Or maybe he can get downhill and use that athleticism. But alongside of Wemby, Fox, Harper, Castle, he fits as a player who can really be a 3-and-D guy to start and develop into something quite special in the league. Either that or another guy who is similar to that in Carter Bryant. The three-point percentage is not the same, not the exact same, but he had 37%, but he also played 37 games rather than only playing the 6 games that Cedric Coward did last year before the torn labrum got him. 6'8", 19-year-old wing from Arizona. We've seen a lot about Carter Bryant, high upside 3-and-D wing who could provide some shooting for the San Antonio Spurs. Another fast riser up the board because, again, you see the teams that are succeeding in this league. What do they have a lot of? Wing depth. If you're 6'6" to 6'8", long arms, can play defense and shoot threes with athleticism, you're going to climb up the depth. We obviously see even the Timberwolves too. They've got players like Jaden McDaniels, long guy, play defense, can shoot from the outside. That's what teams are looking for, and especially in today's NBA, and with the fact that the second apron and the first apron, that hard cap that we have in the league, it's difficult to just build and say, hey, we're going to take this guy, we're going to take this guy, trade for this guy, get that guy. So they need to get players like this, and Carter Bryant's another guy who could come in there and do what Cedric Coward could do for this team. The only thing with Carter Bryant is he might go 10 to the Rockets. He could go before we even get a chance to get him. He is a guy who has been projected up to 9, 8 in the lottery, but I've also seen him fall as far down out of the lottery, getting to 16, 17 around the Minnesota, Memphis now pick instead of Orlando after that Desmond Bane trade. So Carter Bryant is another guy that you see here. He is a defensive dong, strong, aggressive. He's athletic. I think I said strong, a strong, aggressive, athletic, high defensive wing at the next level. If he could be a top 10 pick, that's going to be the problem, but he's also a guy who can come on this roster and instantaneously make plays, make winning plays for this roster. That is 2. 3, Egor Demin. I like him. I don't love this one. I love the first 2. I don't love this one. So the thing with him out of BYU, he's a nice combo guard. He is not a great defender. He's good. He is not a great defender, though, in my personal opinion. With him, he uses his long arms and his reach to be able to disrupt passing lanes. He's not the quickest laterally, but what he does do is he can position himself. He can be smart. He is a very good playmaker, and we know what we can do with playmakers, and obviously he is good, and I think that he could, in the right position, he could really benefit a team. I just don't think that needs to be with us, especially when you have Harper. We don't need to get another point guard style player, and that's what Demin has been in his career, especially at BYU. He was a point guard guy who had the ball in his hands. Him only shooting 27.3% from the three-point line does concern you. Give him a playmaking wing, of course, sure, but I do think we already have enough playmaking wings that if we're going to get wings, we want to get more athleticism, we want to get some three-point shooting, and then they can playmake off of that. We don't want playmaking. Playmaking doesn't need to be their strongest suit because we already got 2 guys who are strong playmakers in Harper and Fox. That's assuming we're taking Fox at 2. And then Castle really has developed as a playmaker, especially towards the back half of last season. Learning from Chris Paul is going to help that. So as I think this guy is actually going to be good in the league, and there are multiple spots, I think Portland could be an interesting spot. They have guards that they could move off of possibly. Atlanta, depending on what they're going to do with Trae Young here in the future. I think there's some spots for him. I just don't think this one would be the perfect one for us personally. Then Danny Wolf. I like Danny Wolf. 14 might be a little high though. So if we could possibly move up into the back half of the first and get him at 21-ish, I like that more. I think Danny Wolf at 14 is a little high, but hey, if you got your guy, you got your guy. He is a nice big 7-footer. He actually's got pretty quick feet laterally. 13 and 10, as you see there about. He can shoot the 3 ball. It's more of a stanza, but he can shoot the 3, truly. The 59.4% from the line throws you off because you see the touch that he has. He really should be around a 70% free throw shooter, but he is a big that can handle the ball. The thing is, in Michigan, he had kind of a heliocentric offense around him, so how is he going to be able to develop and actually push forward outside of that when the offense isn't really around him? But he kind of has, he's not the same level, but but like he's kind of got the Jokic thing where he wants to have the ball at the top of the key, be able to work it around and make those kind of passes. He's done very well, and I do like Danny Wolf as a backup center to Wemby. I think those two could play off of each other well because they both can stretch the floor, plus they both could get around the basket. He's more of a little bit of a paint presence, not afraid to use his body. Not like Wemby is afraid to use his body. He just doesn't. But he has a shot from deep. He hasn't been super efficient, though, as a big, and that kind of worries you. Give him a versatile big for the Spurs, but I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I like it at 21, 22. I don't love it at 14. And then we get into the next one. I like this one a lot. I think here, this Frenchman, another one to the Spurs. I think, obviously, you get the French connection between him and Wemby. That's one. He is an athletic guy. He really has a great defensive presence. He has great he has great offensive upside because you get someone at 14, he can plug and play, and you want to get someone a little bit different than what you already have on the roster. That or you want to back up. You can play him and Wemby, his name, I think Beringer. I hope I don't pronounce that wrong. But you can play him alongside of Wemby together, and they can actually disrupt things defensively crazily. He's got a great wingspan, as you see here, at 7'5". Runs the floor well, athletic, block shots at the basket, can finish at the basket, real rim runner. So you can imagine a zone with Wemby in the middle of the zone and him on the back half of it, and you could roam there and kind of like a 2-3, 1-3-1 hybrid. Or you could obviously just go man. You could put a guy like him on someone like Jokic and then have Wemby roaming to help. Like, he is a guy, right, come off the bench, and you got that French connection with Wemby. I like this a lot. I have him projected more around the 18-ish, but I think if you were to go up and take him at 14, I think that'd be fine. You also have Noah Senge. There's also a few other players in this draft that you could go and get. As I said, Noah Senge could be another one. You could go Asa Newell if you feel comfortable with him up there. I think Atlanta could take him at 13. I also think that he could drop down a little bit. That's a lot of the people within the 9 to 18, 20 range. They could fall, honestly, within anywhere. It just depends on how scouting feels about them. But those are the 5 guys there. How do you feel about them? My favorite would be either Cedric Coward or Carter Bryant. Those would be my top 2. Then after that, I think there are good and bad with all of them. But those are my top 2 there. Let me know who your top player or top 2 players would be. Or if you want none of them, you want to trade out of it or get a different guy entirely. Let me know what you guys think. But again, this has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be seeing all of you guys very soon.